I love getting offered random screeners. Uh, I do, because some of them are pretty great, and they're movies that I probably would not have watched otherwise unless somebody pointed them out to me. And this is one of those. Like, I did not know this movie exists. It has no stars in it that I would have necessarily, you know, navigated my way towards this movie. This doesn't have anybody in it that pulls me in. But I got a screener, and I read the plot summary, and I was like, this movie sounds awesome. This movie sounds like it's headed to be some sort of awesome little camp movie that's audiences will enjoy and get a good laugh with slash at. Um, so I'm John Stark from ActMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. So click like and subscribe because I need to be able to maintain being on lists so I can get films like this so they can get reviewed. As of me reviewing this film has been reviewed 10 times on IMDb, and I'm pretty certain it's by 10 people who worked on the movie, because this movie has a 9.7 on IMDb. That's really hard to do. Um, I also love the fact that it probably means that like one guy came in there and gave it a 9, you know? It was like a whole bunch of people who worked on the movie, then one guy was like, nah, we gotta make it look real. We gotta give it a 9. Like the 9.7 isn't suspicious. Anyway, clone cops. Don't say the C word. What do you mean, cops? No, clone. Um, this movie is goofy. It's fun. It knows exactly what it wants to be. It knows exactly what it is. It is silly. Everybody in this movie like, they're all actors who, like, this movie shouldn't work, but it does. Like, I don't think anybody in here is going to win an Oscar, but everybody in here was fun. Like, they were having a great time doing this movie. I need audio description though. I do. Like, in order for me to be able to fully like give it a grade, or if I was I'm trying to get on the tomato meter, and I'm not going to put movies on the tomato meter that don't have audio description because it's not how I consume movies. I can't put a final grade on anything. So that is a barrier, that is a problem, but I also don't mind talking about small films. See, that's always the problem, is that a film like Clone Cops is going to be offered to people like me who Hollywood considers to be on the fringe, right? And I can't get the accessibility that I need, but I'm willing to review and talk about Clone Cops. Good luck trying to get Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Jans to talk about Clone Cops. Have fun with that. See if they review it. That's what I say about all of these movies. These studios are trying to gatekeep and keep and send it only to like the top. It's like those people got to the top because they're clout chasing, because they only review the films that everybody wants to hear them. I don't care. I'm like, listen, if 5 people want to hear me talk about Clone Cops, then 5 people are going to hear me talk about Clone Cops. But who knows? Maybe the review trends, and maybe 300 people will learn about Clone Cops that didn't know about Clone Cops before. This is everything that should be. Like, this director needs to needs to come in and take over whatever the hell is happening with the what do I want to say, the shit that just hits public domain, horror movies. Like, all of those movies should be like this. And I felt that way about Invisible Raptor too. It was a film that was from last year. It was very campy. It knew exactly what it was. It was heavily referential to Jurassic Park. It also didn't have audio description, so I couldn't give it a final grade. But a lot of the things there too were very, like, it knew exactly what kind of movie it needed to be and wanted to be. And unfortunately, like, the worst directors keep pushing out movies like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and The Mousetrap, because they want to be the first out of the gate. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to have, it's more important to them to be first out of the gate than to be the best one out of the gate. And I would love to see, like, the director of Clone Cops do a Winnie the Pooh movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be hilarious. I just see how absurd it would be. Um, and to have this cast behind it, because that's the kind of thing that it could be, instead of just relying on gore and horror tropes and stuff like that for the Winnie the Pooh movies, which is what they do. And the movie barely resembles anything. Um, this movie leans in on everything. Like, this movie knows exactly. It feels, like you've got replicants and they're making more of them, and there's a twist with who the main characters are, and there's this one guy and he's being put into a video game that he's been playing, and he has the high score, and he's like the highest score, and he's like, I'm ready for the next level. you know uh I'm just I enjoyed everything that I could possibly enjoy about this movie without audio description. I had a blast with it. I thought it was silly, I thought it was goofy, I thought it was fun. And that's exactly what something like a Winnie the Pooh horror movie should be, or a Steamboat Willie horror movie should be. I don't know what's happening with those movies, but they're awful. And I look at this and I'm like, this person has a grasp on what this should be. So as Clone Cops traverses the country and tries to get shown to audiences, I'm sure it's not going to end up at like the fanciest film festivals or at the best screens with the widest releases. It's probably going to end up on like Tubi, but it's a blast. I had fun with it. And is it the greatest movie? No, it's not. It's not. I'm not going to give you that. I'm not going to give you that latitude. Neither was Invisible Raptor. Neither one of those great movies, but they're fun, and there's something to that. And you know, obviously they don't have the same budget. They don't have the same studio backing of millions and millions of dollars. It'd be interesting to see a movie like this with a huge budget, with like a $10 million budget. So I am I'm excited to hear more from this team that made Clone Cops. I think they should make more movies, and if I'm far more excited for more from them than I am from whatever the hell what are they trying to do down there with like the ruin your childhood horrorverse. Those movies aren't good. I mean, it'd be funnier if they were doing it and they were like fun, but they're not. Those movies are dreadful. Anyway, um, yeah, this is I don't know. It's not quirky. It's self-aware. Right from the beginning when I'm watching the movie, and I knew exactly what kind of movie I was in for when um, it's one of those voices that comes in. It's like, the sauce. Don't mess up the sauce. And I was like, oh, I know exactly what kind of movie this is, and it stays that way like the whole movie. Like, it has a rhythm and a beat to it. There wasn't anybody here who was like a painfully bad actor either, which is kind of like the Mousetrap had that, where there was at least one person who was reading lines, and I was like, have you ever read a line before? Did anybody audition you? Like, everybody here actually kind of has the right rhythm, and they know what they're doing, and they know what kind of movie they're in. It's kind of funny. Are they the greatest? No. No, nobody here, like I said, no one here is going to win an Oscar ever. I think ever in their life. I think that's pretty safe. But they could do movies like this from here to eternity, just like all the way. So, Clone Cops. It's the kind of movie that is almost too self-aware to be done by Mr. Science Theater. Like, it's the kind of movie that comes about out of Mystery Science Theater, out of realizing that there were movies that were like this, that were campy. And it's tough to be camp intentionally, because you can do it wrong. Because camp is almost a thing that's like thrown at a movie by audiences once they decide what camp is. Unintentionally campy movies. There are movies this past year that I think people would look at, and I think time is going to see them as campy, even though definitely like Joker Folie à Deux, Megalopolis, and films like that, we're not intended to be campy. I think they kind of end up a little bit in that path. They're also just bad movies. This one actually is enjoyable. Like, I had a good time with it. Doesn't have the same production value. What was Megalopolis? It's like 100 million, right? Something like that. Jesus. Anyway, so I'm here for it. If you're excited and you can check out Clone Cops at some point and you like silly, absurdist, indie, sci-fi, comedy, horror type movies, this is your bag. This is exactly what everything that it sounds like a movie called Clone Cops would be. And I kind of had a vibe. I was like, man, I really hope this movie doesn't disappoint. It didn't. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was exactly the vibe when I was given the screener, when I was given like the little summary, the plot summary. I was like, I think I know what kind of movie this is. And I was right. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful that this movie is exactly what it says it is. So check out Clone Cops. Unfortunately, if you're blind and low vision, my grade is officially unwatchable due to lack of audio description. That's the downer. So it is actually a very visual movie. There's actually quite a bit of action in there, and I'm not 100% sure of how violent it gets. You know, this is one of those movies where it could be more violent, and more gory, and I wouldn't know. Like over the top, like unnecessarily, where somebody gets shot and they like explode instead of just die. Could be one of those movies. So yeah, there's a visual element that's not brought to me. Um, I have a feeling that Clone Cops, when they were thinking about it, just weren't thinking about accessibility and didn't budget for audio description. I don't know where they're going to go with audio description. I don't know what their path is. If we're at the very early stages, like if I could have jumped onto the Hundreds of Beavers guys before they started traveling the country with that film and picking up steam, I probably would have smacked them in the head and told them, please put audio description on this because this thing's going to be obnoxiously popular for no apparent reason. And the whole blind community is going to be like, well, we can't watch this movie. I don't think this is going to quite get to Hundreds of Beavers level. Very few movies ever do. Um, that come from nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like very few movies are able to achieve. That's why Hundreds of Beavers end up standing out. But yeah, I would have had a very stern conversation with those. So if you're from Cologne Cops, it would be nice, especially if you're planning on going to festivals and stuff like that. And I don't know what your release pattern is. If you're just going to send this to Tubi, it doesn't. You're not really planning much of a theatrical run for it. I don't know. I guess there's not much of a purpose, but for VOD releases and for theatrical, you want to reach the widest audience possible. So, food for thought. Anyway, and the same could be true about closed captioning. I don't know if this movie has closed captioning, but it should have that. Most movies have closed captioning that don't have audio description, so I'm assuming this at least has captioning, but who knows? Anyway, um, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.